I've had a mental block for the longest time when it comes to writing parts and creating parts on the piano. My first inclination is to play with 10 fingers, but that's not always what the music requires. So stick with me as I share some of the knowledge and techniques I've learned to help you play more thoughtful, creative parts. We're going to... Right in my eye, isn't it? There's nothing I can do about it. KM84s. First expensive mic I ever bought right there. The other day I was working with somebody and I was trying to teach them how to accompany me on the guitar. I'm playing chords and I'm like, okay, we're going to go D to B minor to A to G back to D. So what do you tell somebody to do who is used to reading notes off of the page? So I came home and I thought, well, what are the key components that make a good piano performance, especially in the context of a folk song or a pop song or a rock song? There are some basic prerequisites. There are some basic prerequisites for this video. A whole step is 2 steps. That's a whole step. And then we have a half step. So it's whole, half, whole, half. So if we are to look at the key of G, we do that same thing. Got a G note right here. Whole, half, whole, half. Okay, that's all we're going to talk about as far as the major scale. Let's go back to the key of C, and we're going to give all these numbers. That's super important. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it repeats over and over again. When we talk of triads, that's 3 notes, tri, and it's every other note. So in the key of C, so we have our C major, and we have our C major up here. If we go to the 4 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, we can build our major triad right there, and then G, and then back to C. That's C, F, and G, major triads. But if we make a triad out of the D, ooh, that one sounds different. Some of you are intimidated by the piano, and you need this. That's why I'm doing it. The difference between a major triad and a minor triad is that from the root to the third in a major triad is 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps. To a minor triad, we simply drop it. But it's convenient that in the key of C, all of our triads C, F, G, A minor, they're all the white keys right here. F, let's get a D minor. That's a whole lot of theory in a few seconds. The key of C is great because it's super easy, but I strongly suggest that you work on another key. Start with D, there's only 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. Maybe even try G, it's only got 1 sharp. It took me a long time to grasp this concept. But what really matters and what really affects the mood and the emotions is the distance between one note to the next, whether you're playing them at the same time or a string of notes. But know that the major scale can take you a long way. For those of you that are overwhelmed by all of these notes, you're going to want to play with all 10 fingers. You don't have to. Nobody said you have to do that. There's also going to be a lot of people telling you what's right and wrong, but in pop songs, it doesn't matter. There are better options, but don't worry about it all. You got to push those voices out. What I tell you is super important is the power of rhythm. There's that great video that if you're into music, you've probably seen it, of Victor Wooten. I think it's Victor Wooten, talking about how you don't even have to play the right notes if you've got the right rhythm. Like, he just comes in playing a note, then he figures out the rest.
So no matter what note I play, right? That's wrong, that's right. It took me 1 note to know where I was, but you don't care.
And rhythm is everything. Everybody could play 1 note. You have years and years of listening to music and feeling music that will determine how you play that note rhythmically. It's in you. You don't have to do a whole lot. We're playing this little progression, C to A to G to F. And I'm just gonna have fun with these three notes: the C, the note below it, and the note above it. Some of you might be like, two notes. We are producers. We are songwriters. And this instrument almost always is going to fit in the context of all the other things. I hear all the other instruments. A lot of times people roll in on their instrument and they think, I got to fill it up. Ups there. Maybe that wasn't bad. I don't know. I'm doing quite a bit there, and that's years and years of me kind of figuring out what I like to do with the piano. But in the context of a song, that's probably going to be way too much. What I want you to understand is that you can do so much with the rhythm. I know that when that click is going and I'm playing with my left hand and with my right hand, I'm going to be on that click. You often hear advice for drummers, just play that vanilla groove for an hour to a click track. That's really what's going to be required of you to be great. And to me, I don't think enough people think about the value of bringing an understanding of rhythm and timing and feel. And a lot of you, if you play guitar or you play drums or other instruments, you already have that in you. So start there with a confidence. It's very, very common for musicians who have learned to read in a more formal way. They lack some of those qualities that are built into us play by ear, whatever that means, crowd. One is not better than the other. They're just different. And we each have our strengths and our weaknesses. There's a fun game you can play. I've got a soft drums loop. This is the commercial portion of the video. Somerville Sounds is a company that I started. The main page on soft drums looks like this. A lot of fun. It also comes with a collection of loops. This one happens to be at 90 beats per minute, which is my tempo. It triggers on the downbeat. I've got a little click intro. I'm going to use PostFelt, which is our piano. It's got all these fun layers. I'm going to try to play on the drum beat. The drum beat's going to go away and the click's going to go away. And we're going to see how close my internal clock is. I rushed. There's my drum loop. I rushed on the very first beat. Can't do that. Then it stopped and I came back in great right there. Man, it didn't take long before I started speeding up. Oh man, I'm way ahead of the beat. Play that note right. You need to record your improv sessions. It's not a bad idea to record with video as well because you can see your reaction to what you are playing. I don't hate this part that I played, and all I was doing was trying to give some filler material for this video. But who knows? Maybe I'll revisit this. I've mentioned this a dozen times on this channel, but I'm a believer in this technique. I remember knowing what I wanted the piano part to sound like, but not being able to get my fingers where they needed to be. So I'd play the rhythm and do my best with the notes. But the trick is, you just need to mute it. Just turn the piano off. Now this is going to be awful. Quantize that. When we hear a wrong note, it can paralyze us. So if you don't hear the wrong note, you're not paralyzed. Eventually you need to get to where you can hear what you're playing. That's the goal. But if you're just learning, try some of these little tricks to get the dynamics, get the velocity down, and then move the notes around in post. When I first started playing, it was play the octave in the left hand, and then play the scale in the right hand. Which is fine. That will serve you well. But now what I'm starting to do more, and I think this is super important when you're improvising, is that you always need to know where the third is, even if you don't play it. If we're playing a C major triad, instead of playing it like this, you kind of want to separate those notes on the low end. Otherwise it gets kind of mushy. It's not the right term. So just do this. Play the first and the fifth in your left hand and find the third an octave up. Now what I want you to notice is this. That's the third note in the key of C. Da, 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 da. And it's also the third note in the C major triad. I got pretty good at knowing my scale over here, but when I changed chords, I was always thinking about it. Still the C major scale, even though I'm playing an F. But what's really helped me is to learn to think of the third for every chord, both on the piano and guitar and music in general. So I've got my C and G in my left hand, and my third is up here. I want to learn to hear that. So now if I go to the D instead, what do you hear? I hear a magnet. Like that note is not resolved. It either wants to go da-da, or, and if I were to go to the F, now let's say my next chord is going to be the A minor. So in my left hand, I'm going to go from the first and the fifth, C and G, to the first and A, to the fifth note of that A minor chord. My third is going to be a C. C. Over here, I'm thinking melodically, but I also want to define those chords. So I got the third. Now, I don't always have to hit it. That kind of defines it in a way that maybe I don't want. Listen to the difference here. Third. But it really wants to go. Let's go from C to A minor to G to F. So now my third in C is E, my third in A, C, my third in G, B, F, goes to A. So those are going to be my target notes. my default was always to do big octaves here. I worked really hard on my inversions. So if I'm going to A minor, I could do. If I'm going to G, then I could move these down. And that's great. You need to know that. You need to know your first inversion, your second inversion. But I found just simplify it and add to it instead of playing a bunch of chords and then taking notes away. So I got my first and my fifth, third, and the same way for in C, I like to know where the 7 is, which is one below. One thing about writing music for media and production music, sometimes you don't want the third. You don't want to define the emotion. Because when you put that third in a major chord, it's very clearly happy. When you drop that third, it's very clearly a dark sound. And sometimes you don't want to let that on. Sometimes you need music that doesn't have an identity to it. It's just out there. So a lot of seconds. It's just one of the tools that you have. Now, let me know if you like this type of thing. I know this is a very simplistic tutorial, but I know a lot of people that play guitar, they're like, no, I don't play the piano. Well, you need to play the piano. Like everybody needs to play the piano. I have become one of those that says, put your kid in piano and make them learn because it's all right here. It's just laid out. If lists are more of your thing, click on this video to learn the 10 music writing skills that I should have learned sooner.